Hello, everybody. Ron Wildman here on Middle Georgia Spotlight. And for the past weeks and possibly weeks to come, it's coronavirus and all the information we can get out to you to help you make it through this period of time. We have a man who's chairman of the Board of Health, and David Gowan's also the safety director at the Bibb County Schools.
Yes, David Gowan, and I'm Director of Safety and Security with the Bibb County School District.
Being chairman of the Board of Health, what have you had involved in this leading up to this period of time?
As chairman, it's my responsibility to make sure the other health board members, there are 7 of us, that they're updated. And we speak regularly with Dr. Haynes, the North Central Health District Director. Macon Bibb County Health Department is one of 13 county health departments that make up the North Central Health District. So we work regularly with Dr. Renee Haynes, she's our district director, and also Amber Erickson, our chief epidemiologist, and also Michael Hokeson, our PIO, public information officer. So I'm in regular contact with them to make sure that I keep the board members updated. And of course, we have monthly health board meetings where the staff reports to us.
We had Michael on last week on this program.
Yes.
Did a great job for you folks.
Yes, he's very knowledgeable.
Now, what's your life has been like the past 2 or 3 weeks as this started to bubble up?
Well, I really wear 2 hats. My main job, obviously, is with the school district, so we're out
That's
of school.
That's the paying job, isn't it?
That's the paying job. And obviously, before last week, before Monday, we were trying to decide were we going to remain in school or were we going to close school down. So over the last few weeks, that was my main focus. With the school district was to stay in touch with the public health authorities on that front to make sure that it was smart and safe to remain in school, and also work on the school district's infectious response plan. We obviously were updating that and revising that plan. And that's not just a plan for coronavirus, that would be for any infectious disease. In the school district, we have an infectious disease response committee that worked on those revisions and additions to that plan.
What has come out of that?
One of the new things that came out of that was obviously e-learning, which is online learning. So the school buildings are closed, but the school classes are not. Every day the teachers are online, and from 9 to 1 and 2 to 4, and they provide online lessons to the students, and then they turn those lessons in online. We have an offline component. If a family doesn't have internet connection at home, there's a way that they can pick up written assignments at the school and then turn those back in.
You say the teachers and the students are online. Do they see each other, or is it...
I'm not sure if they see each other. I know they are interacting with each other, and the students turn in their lessons online.
Not too long ago, we couldn't have done this.
That's right. This is relatively new, and that was a major addition when we revised our infectious disease response plan as a school district. That was one of the major new components. Some of the other components of that plan, when school is in session and we're in the schoolhouse, we have electronic surveillance of daily attendance of the students, and also we now regularly monitor employee attendance. So what we're looking at there is, do we have a spike in absences above the normal rate? And if we do, then is it this particular school, or is it across the school district, or is it in a certain zone of the school district? So before we actually called off school last Monday, we were monitoring that, and obviously technology allowed us to revise that to make a little finer point of making sure we tracking the daily attendance, not on paper, but they turn those class rolls in electronically now.
As far as you know, is it working?
Yes. We were able to monitor, and we never saw a spike in absences related to COVID-19 or anything else, coronavirus or anything else. We had a pretty regular absentee rate those weeks prior to last Monday when we were monitoring the daily attendance, but we checked it daily.
A great number of your students ride the bus to school. What's happened to the bus drivers and the buses?
Well, the bus drivers they're going to be doing some training themselves. Obviously, they will not be conducting bus routes because kids are home now. But we also have a meal delivery program, so some of the bus drivers are driving the buses for that. We are driving meals into the neighborhoods for lunch. And there's a schedule on the school district's website of locations and times. So that way we at least are able to provide a nutritious lunch to students that are eligible for free and reduced lunch. And that schedule is on the school district's website.
Back when I was a kid, they didn't care whether I ate or not. But I understand it's a big thing now, making sure these kids have these meals.
It is. Nutrition is part of learning. If you are hungry, you're not going to learn at the same level than if you have a nutritious meal and you're not hungry.
So what kind of meal do they get?
It's more of a sack lunch. So they're handed a bag with fruit and a sandwich of some kind and some milk and some other items. But it's all based on the nutrition guidelines from the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Now, what about the regular employees, other than teachers, office staff and everything? How are they dealing with this?
Well, we have some staff that are still coming to the central office, some key staff, but most people are home, and a lot of them are still working from online home. We're still able to, for instance, do our payroll and other accounting features from home. I'm reporting in most days because, you know, of my job with the school district and also with the health board, superintendent's in and some of the other senior people. But a lot of our staff are teleworking from home.
Do you have any guidelines in the office? What's that space thing they call it?
Yeah, social distance. You want 6 feet of social distance between individuals, and really no more than 10 people congregating in one area. So that's the social distance that the CDC recommends.
What about board meetings?
Well, we're going to have a board meeting this evening, and for right now, those are still going as planned. Our health board meetings, we've decided after we received some new guidance from the state that we're going to teleconference our health board meetings. We received permission to do that, and we meet, the health board meets on the third Monday of each month at 9 in the morning over at the health department on Emory Highway, and until further notice, our monthly meetings will be by teleconference.
Did the health department have anything to do with the school board eliminating in-school classes?
We were in that was part of the consideration. We were in daily contact with, it really wasn't the Macon Bibb County Health. We had contact with them, but it was the North Central Health District.
Yes.
Dr. Haynes is the director of that. They happen to be based here in Macon. So you have the health department out on Emory Highway, and then downtown in the BB&T building is where the North Central Health District is located. But they're over that 13 county area that includes Macon Bibb County. Is one of the 13 counties. So we were working with them on, receiving daily updates on COVID-19, the latest statistics, and of course they would have alerted us if we'd had a positive case in Macon Bibb County, which was announced earlier today. But while we were in school, we never had a positive confirmed case in Macon Bibb County.
Is every much pretty the same in the other counties, the 12 others, along with Macon Bibb?
Yeah, I'm assuming that they interact with those boards of education, those school districts. I just know from our standpoint that we work very closely, and from my indications are that they work with those other school districts also.
As safety director, what are some of the other responsibilities you have?
Our department runs the emergency response plans for the district. We've created flip books with procedures. We do employee safety training such as CPR, first aid, safety hold, defensive driving. Also, our department runs the business insurance program for the district, the auto liability, the property, the general liability, our errors and omissions, and all those different business insurance coverages. And then also a big piece of our department is what I call community coordination. We serve on a lot of the boards. I'm chairman of the Macon Bibb County Health Board. I serve on the county's Pedestrian Safety Review Board. I serve on the Red Cross. I'm chairman of the Red Cross Board. Also the Child Fatality Review Committee with the Bibb County District Attorney's Office. So a lot of the local government boards where the law says that the Board of Education, the superintendent should have a seat. It's usually the superintendent or a designee. And in not all cases, but in a lot of those cases, I'm the designee.
I know it keeps you busy, but it's a good thing to have maybe a person to be on all these boards rather than several.
It is. It definitely helps the school district because it increases our institutional knowledge when we're able to interact with our county government partners and also our like the Red Cross. So for instance, when we partner with the Red Cross, if we have a family that is burned out from a home fire, I already know the Red Cross director and who to call to get some help for that family as far as relocation and clothing assistance and food assistance. Also, you know, serving on the Pedestrian Safety Review Board, I do a lot of work with Nigel Floyd in Macon Bibb County Traffic and Engineering, and so a lot of our school traffic plans, we do a lot of coordination with the county on that, and of course with the health board, this COVID-19 coronavirus, there you have the proof that these relationships are very important. And these relationships are years in the making. We're not just introducing ourselves to these various boards and county departments. We've built relationships over the years.
I was thinking about that as you were talking. This all started, a lot of it did, back in 911.
It did, and that leads me to some of our other important relationships. We also have serve on the executive policy group with the Macon Bibb County Emergency Management Agency, and we've been in daily contact with them also. They were also a major entity that we were working with as a school district in the weeks leading up to the decision to close schools because of the COVID-19. So I know Spencer Hawkins very well, the executive director and the deputy director, Robert McCord, and their staff. So we turn in our school safety plans to them. We work regularly with them also. You being spread out the way you are obviously has a feel for the community, probably better than most people. How is Macon Bibb and much of Middle Georgia coping with this situation? I think for the most part pretty well. Just like everywhere else in the country, there's been a run on the grocery stores. The toilet paper has disappeared, but for the most part, people have been pretty calm. I've fielded calls from nervous parents, but once you talk with them and explain, the guidance from the CDC, I have not seen outright panic in the community. I've seen concern, but I don't think our level of concern here is any greater than the general level of concern around the nation. On one hand, they do want you to stock up on some stuff for 2 or 3 days at least, maybe longer in this situation. So people are following through on that. As long as our grocers and the suppliers who have assured President Trump they've got the stuff out there, it's good for us to have it on hand if we really need it. That's right. I don't think you need to have months on hand. That's right. A week to 2 weeks of food available. And the grocers, I did view one of those White House press briefings where they were referencing the grocery stores, and I believe they made a commitment to, as long as they can, keep the supply chain going. I think most grocery stores are closing each night about 8 o'clock so they can re-clean their building and restock the shelves, but I think they gave the nation a commitment to stay open as long as they can and keep the supply chain going. Still, even though they're at home, you're kind of responsible for these children in our district. You get any feedback of what they need other than their computers and stuff? Well, obviously, as I referenced earlier, we are serving the lunch meal each day. Yeah, unfortunately, we can't serve breakfast. During a regular school year, they are served breakfast and lunch, but we are able to serve lunch, and we're doing that Monday through Friday. You can go to the school district's website to find the locations and times. There are a lot of locations too, by the way. They're spread out for over a good area of the county, and I actually was out on one of those routes today to observe the distribution of meals, and it went very well. It was out there at Pendleton Homes. Was I correct? It said anybody under 18 can get a meal? That's right. If they're student age, they can get a meal. They have to show up in person though. The student has to be there. We have to hand the meal to them, and it's in a form of a bag lunch. Yeah. Well, David Gowan, best of luck as we plod through this as the chairman of the Board of Health,
and Safety Director at the Bibb Schools. And good luck to you.
I appreciate the opportunity, Ron, to speak with you today and to get the message out to the community that we're all going to get through this. We just need to have a little patience with each other. For a little while, we're going to have a new normal.
This being 2020, it's a big election year, and our next guest, Henry Ficklin's on the Board of Elections, and they've been affected a lot by this virus situation. So,
yes, sir.
When we come back, we'll be with Henry Ficklin and more on coronavirus. Henry Ficklin is chairman of the Macon Bibb Board of Elections. And what a year to be chairman.
Yes, we have a lot of changes that we've gone through with the coronavirus coming in and changing everything around. So we've had to go through just a multiplicity of different things to set up with the equipment. We never anticipated this kind of cost that it's going to cost for the county, even though the state purchased the apparatuses that we're going to vote on, but we still have to maintain them. We have to have a place to store them. They had to have carts for them. We got to buy batteries and all. It has just been something just overwhelming for the mindset to think that all of this additional cost and equipment comes in. We didn't even have space to put the equipment. It was in the hall. It's in the halls. And the storage room is full. We had to buy 2 of those storage containers outside to put things in. So it's just been overwhelming.
Why new equipment?
Because we could not use the old equipment that was called DREs, and of course direct recording electronic, and that's where you just go in and you would just put your vote on, and it would just, you didn't get a paper ballot out, and you see what you, and you just cast your ballot and you could just walk out, and it didn't take a whole lot of room for those. But this equipment, there are several stations that a voter has to go through. They will check in at a poll pad with their driver's license and on paper. And then once that is done, they have to get a voter card. They take this voter card, they put it into the machine that reads their ballot. And then, of course, once their ballot has been read, they will have to look at it and see that that's what they want. Then they press print. It will print out a printed ballot. They have to check over that printed ballot, and once that printed ballot has been checked over, then they go and feed it into the scanner, and the scanner really lets them know that the ballot has been successfully cast, and that's when they have voted. And the big problem is that when you have a lot of people lined up, someone may think that once they have got the printout that they voted, and they really hadn't voted until they feed the printout into the scanner.
Is this really new and improved in your mind?
It's new. I don't know how improved it is because the first time, this is Dominion Company, the first time they ran this program out in Colorado, there were a lot of problems with it. And of course, there have been some problems that the various papers have written about. But I think that the best thing about it is that you do have a copy of how a voter voted. And if you need to go back in and do some recounting, you will have that paper ballot there. And that is what we were trying to go to, rather than let it be done electronically and you never know what's happened.
Another blessing maybe in all this, we delayed our presidential preference primary.
Well, see, that was delayed because of the coronavirus.
But it allows our people to get more familiar with our equipment too, doesn't it?
Yeah, the workers were ready because they've been at double training, and the staff over there has worked extra hard to make sure that they got everything set up, and we were ready for the 24th. And really, the 24th would have been a good run through for us with the presidential preference in the primary, waiting on the May 19th ballot. So what's going to happen now is all those persons, which is right around 4,000 people that came in to vote early, they will already have voted for the presidential preferential primary, And when they get their card, their voter card, that ballot will not be on there. They'll just get the May 19th ballot. But a person who has not voted in the presidential preferential primary will also have the presidential preference primary on their voter card, and they're going to have a long ballot. They're going to have to go through a lot of screens because they're going to have that, and then they're going to have all of the screens that are currently on the May 19th ballot. So the process is going to be slowed down some, and the lines are probably going to get long.
This is quite a year. Not only do we have local and state elections, we got a couple of Senate races. U.S. Senate. That very seldom happens because those terms are staggered.
They are.
But because of our situation in Georgia, we have 2 senators who are going to be voted on. You got a presidential race.
And then we had a representative also for the 8th and for the 2nd congressional district. So those races are going to be there. And then you got all of the state races. So it's really a voluminous ballot.
Sure is. You envision long lines?
Well, I'm hoping that people will come out and vote this year. We've been hearing a lot, and I think that the atmosphere around voting and the mindset and all the things that have been happening in the country are going to make people come out and vote. And I think that it's going to be good that they will come out and vote.
You know, a big question mark and a cloud may be hanging over things, this virus situation.
Yeah, we don't know right now.
Right.
We've been given the instruction from the governor as well as from the Secretary of State to postpone this particular election until the 19th. We don't know what the situation is going to be like on the 19th.
On the 19th.
We are hoping that it'll be better, but the way things are going, it seems like every day we get more and more confirmed cases of the virus being in persons even in our own county. So, you know, we don't know how it's going to be in another month or two.
Uncharted territory.
Yes, very uncharted territory. But we're hoping that by that time things will be better and people will want to come out. But the thing that we have in place is that we are encouraging people to vote by absentee ballot. And of course, there's going to be some promos made that people can vote absentee, and it's very simple. You can go online and get an absentee ballot application, or you can have someone to come pick you up some, and we're going to try to make sure that we disseminate them out into the community so that people can send for an absentee ballot and they won't have to go and get in a line. And I think that that's going to be the salvation, if we use that word, for this election, that people are going to be voting absentee.
A lot of folks, especially elderly, don't want to get out in that mix right now.
No.
What about by mail? Can you do it?
That's absentee. That's by mail.
You can send me a ballot at home?
Yeah, you can get a
Now,
ballot.
how can I
at
get
home.
that?
You can. There is a ballot application, absentee ballot application. You fill it out, and anybody. It used to be you had to be a certain age, but now anyone can vote absentee. They just fill it out, put their address, age, the date they filled it out, and they need to identify what county they are in and identify what party they are voting in. And then, of course, put their address and where. And if you registered at a particular address and you want the ballot sent somewhere else where you're going to be, just note that on there, and they will send the ballot there. But make sure that you sign it. And elderly people can put an X, and the person who assists them with that can sign their name. But it has to be signed before it can be, authenticated. And then, of course, they will send you out. And we have some really super people working in the absentee ballot department. And generally, once you get that application in, they send it out within a day or two.
The process to get it sent to you, can I call them?
You can call them, and they will send you out an application. But you can go online and get an application, and they will send it out to you.
So there's no reason why anybody should not be able to vote.
That's exactly right.
There's been a lot of talk about registrations and everything in our state. It's been a campaign issue in that last governor's race. How are you looking at that?
Well, registration has been up in Bibb County. Currently, we have 112,146 voters registered, and we have 116 that are being processed as we speak today. So the registration has been up. The last time we had an election, we had about 93,000 voters registered, but the voter registration has gone up, and specifically because we have a lot of organizations that have been registering people to vote, but when people go and get their driver's license, they automatically put you on the registered voter list, and of course, they register you to vote there, and people are automatically being registered to vote because they went down to the DDS to get a driver's license or get them renewed or what have you. You have to tell them that you don't want them to put you on that list, otherwise they will put you on the list. And for instance, you already registered voter, you go down and get your license, and what they will do, if you don't say, that I don't need to be registered to vote, then they will put you on there. What that does, they send that to our local election office, and that put more work on them. They got to go in there, put you in, and then they got to find out that you were already registered to vote. Then they got to take you out. So it's kind of double work. So we really wish people who are already registered to vote would tell the staff down at the driver's division that they are already registered to vote, and it would take some of the work off of the people and the staff in our office, because it really, really is gotten to be very, very much work for them to do, because all of these applications are coming in and they send them in every day. And you know how frequently people go down to the driver's division to get license renewed or what have you when their birthdays come and what have you. So it's got it up. Now what we are concerned about, we want these people to come out and vote. That's the thing. They are registered, but we still have, I know in the last governor's election, we had over 40,000 people who just did not vote.
How are we going to change that? Do you think eventually we'll be voting by mail?
I think that I think in Washington, the state of Washington, they vote by mail, and I think that with this virus out now, that it's probably going to cause us to do some rethinking. I think when we have situation, pandemics and things like this, it always makes us go back and reconsider and look at how we can best do this that's going to protect the public and also give them their right to vote. So I think that might be something that even now the legislature that's still in session may be considering.
As an old civil rights warrior, how can you stand to watch people not vote?
It's very, very disheartening to see that when you've gone out there and you've given your whole life really to ensuring that people register and vote, and then they don't go and vote, and then they wonder why they're in the same condition over and over again. It's because voting changes things.
And you've seen it happen over the years.
I have.
Longtime member of the Macon Council.
Yes.
And a longtime educator.
Yes.
And what do you think about the schools doing this thing, this electronic stuff, now that they're out of school?
Well, we may have to reconsider education too.
That's right.
If this is going to be successful, they may, have some system where they'll go to school maybe once a quarter, maybe once a week, or once every 2 weeks, if this is going to work. Now, I don't know how well it is working, the e-education, as we can call it, but I know that the kids were required to get a household computer so that they could do various assignments that had been sent to them. And if this works out really well, it may take a different look at education, because education has been the same for hundreds of years. I mean, we've always had a teacher in a classroom with students in it, and that goes way back to the 1800s. So maybe it's time to change it.
Amazing how close the elections and the schools are together in this age of the computer.
It is.
And the coronavirus.
And coronavirus, that's right. And one of the things that I do want to point out is that we're going to have to move some of the polling places, because we know that, I know we have Burns that's in a school and Northeast that's in a school, and with the schools being closed, we don't know what's going to happen. You know, are they going to come out and open up so people can go and vote? We don't think they're going to do that. So we're going to be requesting, because tomorrow is the deadline for changing polling places.
Great.
And so we're going to be making a request to the Secretary of State to give us an extension because of this situation. And we did have polling places in the schools, and we probably need to find additional polling places so people could go, those who want to come. But we still are encouraging most people to come out, go out and get a absentee ballot and mail their ballot in.
Well, thank you, Board of Elections Chairman Henry Ficklin, for being with us.
Yes,
And
sir.
thank you for joining us today. For former Mayor C. Jack Ellis, I'm Ron Wildman here at WMUB TV.